Hello, it's Cara Riley, and we're here at the Landscape Photography Show, which has grown out of the Landscape Photography page and a theme that started by Margaret Tompkins. I am an aspiring photographer who is an amateur and have been encouraged by many of the people that have been in this group. And so we're going to be sharing who's here and what they do. So for my day job, I help people connect the dots in the cosmic cow pie as a consultant for small business and real estate. And here is our leader, Margaret Tompkins.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Cara. It's great to be with you tonight. I'm Margaret Tompkins from Kansas City, Missouri. I'm retired and an amateur photographer, so I enjoy getting out into the landscapes and taking photographs. So I'll photograph just about anything that moves or doesn't move, and really enjoy the Southwest and taking photographs there. So I moderate the landscape photography theme and also work in the landscape photography community, and we'd love to see your landscapes in both places. So great to be here with you, and I know we're going to have a great show with Teri.
Yes. So now we've got Jim Worthman from Phoenix area.
Yeah, thanks, Cara. And I'm also an amateur enthusiast photographer. Unfortunately, still have a day job, but when I'm not working, I love to go out and shoot, especially landscapes. I like color and black and white. And like Cara said, I'm based in Phoenix, so I have a lot of wonderful landscapes in the Southwest. Also work both in the landscape photography theme and the community. You can find me on Google Plus at Jim Worthman, and my website is listed down in my lower third. Looking forward to tonight's show with Teri.
Great. And we have Ben from the Pacific Northwest.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I live up here in the Seattle area. Also an amateur photography enthusiast, and I run a location blog for photographers that live here, or if you happen to be coming to my area, please check it out. It's at PugetExposure.com, and I'm encroaching on my 200th post. So that's been going on for a year now, and I'm enjoying it, and I look forward to the show.
Oh, Ben, you're the real deal. We're really excited. And our guest today is Teri Virbickis out of Denver, Colorado. And what a fun show we're going to have. She is going to be sharing with us about stock photography. And I was so excited when I met Teri through another friend, Crystal Craft. Hey, peace, Crystal. And she said that Teri was an impactologist. She creates and practices the art of impact. She is from a marketing and graphic design background, so she mixes that with her photography. And this is funny, on her About page, if you go connect with Teri, it says, I've survived 3 years without a job and a Lexus in my garage. I think it's going to be the title of her book. So she is here to tell us how to create some cash flow with our photography. So Teri, so great to have you here today.
Thanks for inviting me, Cara. I'm glad to be here.
Well, good. Why don't you start out? Teri just got back. Tell us a little bit about how you went on your vacation and how this all evolved. Maybe just kind of your history of how you got into stock photography and now how you're making it work for you.
Well, most of my career, I work in marketing and graphic design, as you said. And most of my career, I've been on the buying end of stock photography, using it in a lot of my work as far as brochures and websites and everything that you need in to put together collateral for Fortune 500 companies as well as very small businesses. So at my last official job that I had, I got very frustrated because I could never find images that I wanted to use inside of these materials. And so shortly after that, I was laid off, and I decided, well, I'm going to go and start taking pictures of the things that I can't find. Like, for example, a simple picture of Aspen, Colorado, the downtown area. I couldn't find a decent picture of it. So that's how I got started in the photography end of it. And it's taken me about 3.5 years to get where I am today. But I'm starting to generate a little bit of cash flow that's not hard or very easy to put in my bank account and not hard to turn down.
Well, I think one of the things that you said that really intrigued me was that in a recent article, and we'll share this at the end, that stock photography is one of the top 10 businesses as we evolve in different kinds of retirement activity or even passive home businesses. So I think that really made a huge impact when we were talking about how people can leverage this into what I call wake-up money. You know, you take your shots and you wake up and there's some money. So.
Well, and that's what I think that has attracted me to this. After, you know, you joke about my book, but I did spend, you know, after being laid off, I did spend 3 years without a job, and pretty much retirement was non-existent anymore. And so this has become my new retirement plan that I'm working now to get to the point where I'm making the money 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it's in my control. No one can lay me off from my stock photography. So that's the whole goal of this. And, you know, it'll take me a few years, but I'm determined to get there and to hopefully help people realize this. You're right, the Fox News report that came out in 2013 in January is very telling, because it did have stock photography as one of the top 10 home-based businesses to come on the forefront for this year.
So Teri, you've just gone on a vacation, and I know that you have some pictures in your Lightroom so that we can start out and see just what kind of photos that you're taking and that are selling, because there's a lot of people who will be watching who are like, well, gosh, maybe I can take a photograph like that. And then we'll talk about, you said in the green room that not everybody, this isn't for everybody, and that it really is kind of tough to do it, but you have some really specific points on how to get going. So let's start with some of your photographs on the screen share so that people can see what you did on a vacation that you will turn into dollars.
Okay, so I recently went with a friend to the Phoenix area, and then we drove down into Mexico. So we basically started out in Denver and then headed to New Mexico and then on over. And the first place we stopped was Sedona. I had never been to Sedona before. And before I go on any kind of trip, I always kind of look at the area and plan to see what's popular, because one of the most popular stock photography categories is obviously travel and tourism. So I look around to see what are the most popular spots, and I found that Red Rocks Crossing happens to be the iconic picture that every photographer goes and takes. In fact, that evening I went and took this picture. I stood there, and then, you know, as the light got softer and softer, you know, suddenly I'm standing next to 20 photographers. So I guess I found the right place. And so this was where I started, and this is just a typical landscape photography picture. I then progressed into taking pictures of the desert wildflowers that are starting to bloom all over the Phoenix area. These were taken at Bartlett Lake and Canyon Lake, and some at the Lost Dutchman State Park, I believe. And so I then do unique views of some of those flowers. These are Mexican yellow poppies. Then we move into, of course, the iconic saguaro cactuses and the saguaro cactuses and the yellow wildflowers. And then, of course, you can't go into the desert without getting a desert gorgeous sunset in the Phoenix area.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to get one of those before I left. I got several.
So, Teri, when you're showing us these pictures, identify who might be the buyer. And we talked about positioning, like there, that one you have the cactus to the left, so there's plenty of room if somebody wanted to put sayings on there. So let's talk about that for a little while, about positioning your artwork or your subject.
Well, in one of the things that I do now, and when I go out and shoot, anytime I think about how a graphic designer would use this photo. So, meaning, how much negative space is there? Is there a space to put an advertisement for, say, come to Phoenix, you know, our sunsets are gorgeous or whatever, and a company logo or the state logo or whatever it is. So typically I would take the same picture, and I'd put the cactus on the left third, and I'd put the cactus on the right third, and then I'd do it in landscape, and then I'd turn it around and do it in portrait, and then I'd upload all 4 of those photos so that I would give a graphic designer a choice depending on what's going to fit best into their layout. So this is a good example of, unfortunately, I didn't take this in all those orientations because I wanted the mountain that you can kind of see in the background. I wanted to get that shadow of the mountain in there. But some of the ones that are good for that, let's go down here, like here's another sunset of another saguaro on a different evening. We also camped and spent some time. There was a full moon that night. We were there.
Now, the screen hasn't changed. Maybe you want to click back and forth once again because we're still on the rose-colored. There you go. So let's go back to there because it was stuck. It was stuck on the one.
You see.
Okay, there you go. Now we can see the moon.
And then I'm not a nighttime photographer, but I took some pictures of saguaros at night because we were camping in the Oregon Pipe National Park. And another thing that people don't realize, in fact, my friend that was with me on this trip, she cracked up. I'm not done processing a lot of these pictures, but she cracked up that when we got to the border, I started taking pictures of signs and stuff like this. You know, it sells. You know, what's a big thing in our society right now is, you know, people crossing the border, you know, illegally and that kind of stuff. So these kind of pictures will definitely sell in a stock environment just because of the nature of them. They will be editorial photos because I don't have property releases to take these photos, but they definitely will be hot items as far as selling because of the nature of the photos. And then we finally made it to Mexico.
It's stuck again. I don't know what. There you go. Okay, there you go.
There you go. I think when I stay on a picture for long. So then we made it to the beach, and I brought my little prop box with me, and I brought all different colors of flip-flops, and so I do, you know, your iconic stock shots or, you know, tourism kind of stuff. So there's, you know, you've got pink flip-flops and purple flip-flops and all kinds of stuff.
Now, go back to that one a minute, Teri, if you wouldn't mind. The one that has all the different colors of the flip-flops.
Uh-huh.
The one that they're all standing straight up.
Do you not see it?
Yeah.
No, there. Now we're on it. Okay. Now, this is just a question. And for those of you in Photoshop, if you had enough sand, could you write messages in the sand with Photoshop?
I'm sure you could, but...
if Jim or Ben knew that, would that be a possibility?
Yeah, you could. I'd probably use just an appropriate font and overlay rather than...
Oh, instead of in the sand.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that was just a question because it's like, you know, you see people doing hearts and those kind of things in the sand. And it was so funny. I saw on somebody posted on Facebook a flip-flop wreath that you put on the door. They said they went to the dollar store and got all those flip-flops and made them into a wreath. But anyway, okay.
Yeah, but I like
Go ahead, Jim.
What Teri had mentioned is graphic designers, and so the people that might buy the stock photograph are going to be wizards at how to creatively integrate some ad copy into the sand or whatever.
Yeah, so different shots of showing the sand with those, I think, would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That was in Mexico?
This was in Mexico, yes. I think
but that could be, you know, any Gulf Coast state would want that because it maybe the sand is a little bit different, but that's like an ideal postcard for thousands of communities, you know, in the States and worldwide too.
Right, and I think what people don't realize is that, you know, Cara, your idea is fabulous, but I leave in stock photography, you want to leave the creativity up to identifying the photo. So I would make it as simple and generic as possible, like with the other flip-flop shots, where there's plenty of room to put writing, there's plenty of room to put whatever on these shots. You know, let the graphic designer use them however they see fit.
And I think that's the way my brain was working, my marketing brain, is that, gosh, I wish I had a font that looks like writing in the sand. There you go, Ben. Are you that creative? Can you make a font that looks like you're writing in the sand?
No, I don't know my way around Photoshop, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
But I guess another question I would have, maybe Teri will go into her settings, but are you shooting in RAW and uploading RAW, and how far do you take your post-processing? Because you just mentioned leave the artistry up to the graphics designer. Are you going to play around with levels and clarity, or are you going to just put up the bare RAW image and have somebody boost the colors or do whatever they want?
Well, and I don't know, do you guys see, did you get the pool image? Is that showing?
Yes.
Yes, we're at the pink hat and the pink flip-flops, yeah.
So, one of the things in stock photography is that you're just right. I do shoot in RAW, but however, agencies have you upload in JPEG. So my post-processing is very simple. I do very little to these photos. One of the things that I think I like about stock photography it has made me a better photographer. That I need to get the colors and the composition and the everything as good as possible right in camera, so that when I get them into Lightroom, I just literally, you know, move a few sliders around, play with levels a little bit, you know, pump the color, you know, use luminance to pump the colors up just.
Oops, Teri, I think we've lost you. Are you there, Teri? We've lost your audio. We have a gremlin. So if you want to exit and come back in, you can sure do that. So we got Teri, we lost your audio. Oh, okay. There, we have Jim saying and me saying at the same time. So okay, so we're the Peanut Gallery. What do you think so far? I mean, Ben, you take photographs. How does this integrate with what you're doing, or is it not? Because I think when we had Teri in the green room, she was definitely saying that this is just not for everyone. But what do you think as a professional photographer? What are you thinking about what's going on here?
Well, I'm not a professional.
Well,
well, I treat photography as like an emotional thing. So there's days where I put it in JPEG and I just take pictures, to like snapshots, just to say this is where I was, this is what I was doing. But when I really want to take a photo and be proud of it, it's got to have emotion tied to it, lighting, composition, and all this stuff. And I think that's thinking too much for stock photography. I think you can't have this thing as a baby and then it doesn't sell. Yeah. You know, you'd be pretty upset.
It's too much. Yeah, it's too much of your message. Too much of your message. So, excuse me.
But like because I have a variety of things that I've shot, you know, I have some images in magazines for various Seattle neighborhoods, you know, aerial shots and whatnot. And so I'm starting to think in portrait mode and then taking a landscape mode, but I'm not thinking about text and stuff. I had one chosen from, we have a new streetcar. So somebody wanted a shot of the streetcar and they wanted it as the cover. So obviously it's going to be portrait. So I just lucked out that I had one because I was shooting raw. You know, I could start off with the portrait and still crop it to the portrait to have enough room. But I haven't been thinking when she's here, but I'm in one aviation, because I also take aviation photos. And I'm interested in hearing if Teri knows, is stock photography like juried at all? Is there, when you upload an image, is there somebody saying like this is too amateur and says thanks for applying but we're not interested? Or just if you just upload, you know, your garden and there's kids' toys in the background but you think it's a great shot, is there somebody that's approving or denying these photos?
And to answer, can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yeah, can you turn it up a little?
Yeah, there we go. Yes, there is, first of all, to get into an agency, you can't just pick an agency and say, I'm going to be a photographer contributor. There's a process of applying, so to speak, and typically most of them have anywhere, you upload anywhere 5 to 10 images, and they go through and, you know, through a host of, you know, composition, lighting, noise, you know, sellability, those kind of things. If you pass the test, then you become a photographer contributor. Now, once you're in, you can upload to your heart's content, but that doesn't mean that everything you upload will be accepted. Like, for example, the stuff that I uploaded of the border of Mexico and the United States, because I didn't keyword it, not keyword, but I didn't title it properly for editorial images, they denied it. So now I have to go back and reword how so that they can use it for a news story and not a regular royalty-free image. So the thing about stock photography is you're going to get rejected regardless. And what you think is a great photo, somebody else is not going to think it's a great photo. And so you can't you have to have a thick skin, because it happens. Some of my best photos have been rejected, and I'm like, I don't know why. Somebody either had a bad day, or sometimes I agree with them. Sometimes
okay. So now we're talking. We'll go back to your pictures because I know you have some more great pictures. But one of the things that we talked about were the companies that you feel are where you're selling, you're getting yours accepted, and also about Getty Images, because you have some history with them. So some of the listeners wouldn't have an idea of what Getty Images is and how you get involved with that.
Well, Getty Images, in my opinion, is the granddaddy of them all, the top of the food chain as far as stock photography goes. They are the biggest. They have the most photographer contributors. They have, in fact, they have their own staff of photographers that shoot for Getty Entertainment and Getty Sports. So, in my opinion, they are getting images on. Being accepted as a photographer contributor onto Getty Images is an honor, and it doesn't happen every day. And even now, I have 10 images up there. Getting another image on there takes some time, work, and effort, and they don't accept everything that I do. that
and I think one of the things that we talked about was that you got started on Flickr, where they saw. Tell them the story about how that worked.
And I don't think people know, Flickr is the largest photo repository on the internet today. And they have a partnership with Getty Images that they peruse people who upload stuff onto Flickr and invite you to upload or become a photographer, contribute based on what you put onto your Flickr page. So if you're a photographer and you're looking to basically get into stock photography, Flickr is a great place to start.
Well, that's great. Okay, and they have to accept you. Did someone invite you, or did you?
Well, when you open your Flickr account and you go through your settings, there's a setting in there that says, yes, make my photos available for Getty image download. And so what happened was I had a picture of, it was a pump jack or an oil well silhouetted against a gorgeous sunset with God rays and purples and pinks and whatever. And apparently an oil company saw the picture and wanted to license it. And so Getty approached me about licensing the image for this oil company, and that's how it started.
That's awesome, because I thought it was just great to learn how that all works. I have a son-in-law who works for Comcast, and he says that when they're doing their marketing, that's where they get their photos, is Getty Images. So
Teri, question about the licensing end of it. When you upload photos, say, to Getty and you get a photo accepted, is that exclusive, or can you upload the same photo to other stock agencies?
Well, and the short answer is yes. You still own the license. You still own the image. They're selling the license or usage rights to that image. So it can be, from a very small image on your website to exclusive rights. And obviously, the smaller the image, the smaller the price. The higher the exclusivity, the higher the price. However, any image that I have had accepted by Getty, I take off of other stock agencies because Getty pays the best at least in my world. I get paid the most by any sale I make off of Getty. So I want to drive people, if they want that image, I want to drive them to Getty.
And one big difference I see from like the kind of photography that I do is that the image that I'm taking is the end result. And what you're doing, it's like that image is just the beginning, so that a graphic designer can work their magic with it and make it into a billboard that's 100 foot tall, things like that. So I see that there's a huge difference, and it just really intrigues me that an image. I mean, I'm trying to get my mind around it, that it's a different perspective, certainly, that you're looking at something. It's amazing, very interesting.
Yes, and that's the thing that people, the people that get involved or start to hang around me, understand. They're like, well, what are you shooting? And they're just standing here waiting for this mountain biker to get out of their shot, and I'm clicking away with the mountain biker shot, because to me that could be in a mountain bike magazine, or that could be an advertisement of some sort, or an infomercial, something on a website. So it's funny, people around me, they start to see what I see. It's very different. I see the landscape and I see the beautiful sunrise, but I also see the mountain biker in my shot. So
do you get model releases then for people that are in your images like that?
Typically I would. It's to your advantage to get a model release. But there are two kinds of photos in the stock world. There's editorial photos and there's royalty-free. Royalty-free would be anything that doesn't require a model release or a property release, or something that I shot that I have a property release and a model release for. An editorial photo, like for example, that biker that just went through my landscape shot and he went away too fast and I couldn't stop him, I can upload that as an editorial image. Now, I'll make the same amount of money if it sells royalty-free or editorial, the people who use the photo editorially can only use it in news stories, can only use it in educational purposes. They can't use it in commercial purposes to sell or promote a product. So in my opinion, I can go out and shoot whatever I want to shoot.
But if you want to sell that for commercial use, then you would have to have a model release from whoever's in the image,
well,
okay?
Whoever would want to use it in a commercial use, because I can upload it however I want to upload it. The end user, the end designer who buys that would then need to use it in a commercial purpose would need a royalty-free image, yes. Correct.
So I know that we had gone over a few concepts that we wanted to talk about, and so here is a question. If you were thinking in general terms, how many images would you need to have out there in different organizations, and we'll ask you the other two that you actually work with, to create an income of, say, $1,500 a month? Would you need 5,000 images? Would you need 3,000 images? What do you think an average might be? And I know you can't say exactly, but just some kind of a ballpark.
Well, it's a loaded question, because one day the image of the saguaro cactus can sell for 50 cents. And then the next day someone could want to buy exclusive rights to it, and it may sell for $500. So any given month, I currently have about 2,700 unique photos in 3 different agencies. So some have, the most in one agency is about 2,700. I have about 400 in Shutterstock and 10 on Getty. And so I make anywhere from $500 to $1,500. And now that I'm not in a month, I'm sorry, and now that I'm not employed, I have a goal of uploading 100 plus more images to each agency a week. So when I started to see any kind of decent money out of it, for some reason the 1,000 picture point is where you start to see, you know, a good kind of income out of it. So obviously it's a numbers game. The more images you have out there, the more money you're going to make, because not everything that you upload is going to be accepted. So, you know, one week I may have 100 accepted, and the next week they may only take 20 of those 100. So it all depends. So
okay, well, we also had talked about holidays, different holidays, and how far in advance do you need to be working for whatever holiday, and where 4th of July is coming up, how far in advance for Hanukkah or Christmas, and that you're working to keep things rolling.
So typically last year in the summer, probably about July, August, I started seeing sales of Christmas stuff come out of my portfolio. But typically about 3 to 4 months prior to a holiday is when I start to see photos for that particular holiday increase. And then sometimes it doesn't even matter. Like just recently in January, February, Christmas is over, and I'm still seeing sales of Christmas. So one of the things I like about this business is you never know what's going to sell. It's just crazy. I have stuff all over the board. It's you know, my most popular image is that crazy pump jack, that crazy oil well. But if you think about what's going on in the world today, of course it's popular, because oil and anything to do with energy is popular. So I understand.
Teri, can you say anything more about keywording? You know, how important is keywording your images before you upload them?
Keywording, in my opinion, is the most important thing in stock photography. You can have a gorgeous image and you can put in 3 keywords, and if no one can find it, it's not going to sell. And I can have a so-so image, and I can have it keyworded, and I know exactly how, you know, because when I keyword something, I keyword it based on how a buyer would look for something, not just throwing keywords onto an image. And so I think that's part of my success is that I'm very good at keywording my images. So absolutely, hands down, the most important, obviously a good clean photo is important, but keywording is the most important thing in stock photography.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Do you, Terry, do you do any staging of photographs like you would do in a studio, or is your work exclusively where you go out and do your shooting?
No, actually, I am a closet baker. I love to bake and decorate my own cookies and cupcakes, and so they often become my object of. I bake them, and I get that creative outlet, and then I stage and shoot them. And I don't know if you can see behind me, I have one of my studio lights is back there. So I do that a lot because another thing that sells is uniquely decorated and baked goods. So food photography is a big thing in stock, yes.
And then you get to eat them all.
No, they usually get my friends. Some of my friends like me. I think it's because I give it all away.
So there definitely is. We had last week, our last show, episode 6, we had David Wright telling us how to think in black and white, and man, that really
David Marks.
Yes, David Marks. Sorry. So our thoughts were, the contrast, and now you've given us how to think in stock photography. We're space, negative space, how important that is. We call it white space in marketing, and I think, Terry, that's what one of the great things that you bring to the table is the fact that you were an end user of the product you are now creating. And so you think like a buyer thinks, and a lot of times in business, the person who provides the product doesn't think like the buyer thinks.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So now tell us a little bit, Terry actually has a program, so just tell us a little bit about what your program is. And I'm asking you this because it's so consuming. I mean, it is the cosmic cow pie of trying to figure out what pictures to take, how to keyword things, and how to even get started with a company to sell your products. So tell us what you have that can help people get going on that.
Well, one of the things that was really frustrating to me when I started this business, because typically most photographers are willing to share with you about everything. They're willing to help you, learn how to operate your camera and what equipment to buy and all that kind of stuff, except stock photographers. The minute you say that you're going to get into stock photography, they deem you as competition, and they're not going to share anything with you. So when I embarked on this learning more and how to get into this business, I literally had to learn it on my own and make my mistakes. And it took me 9 months to almost a year to make my first sale, because all the mistakes, the keyword, how do I keyword, what do I do? No one would help me. So what I've decided to do is create this community called Taking Stock Images Photography that helps other photographers who are interested in getting in this business, taking them step by step, holding their hand through the process, everything from your keywords to getting you onto an agency to what to shoot, how to shoot, photo shoots, just the whole 9 yards, and basically help you build your business. And so I've been doing that in the Denver metro area for a while, and we just started doing Google Hangouts on air so other people who are outside of the Denver metro area could start to join the community. And my students,
when you say community, it's a meet-up community. It's not the community that we're traditionally exposed to here on Google Plus, right?
There is a Taking Stock Images community on Google Plus, yes.
Okay.
But I just opened it not too long ago because I'm fairly new to G Plus as well. So, but there is. I'm trying to build this community because, in my opinion, it's an awesome opportunity, and you don't have to be this fabulous professional photographer to make money in stock photography. images of every type and sort, positive, negative, whatever you can possibly even think of sells on stock photography. It's insane, some of the stuff that sells. So I think it's an opportunity. If you want to put the hard work in and do the things necessary, you can really make money at this.
So, well, I think you've really planted a seed here for us. Does anybody have any other questions before we start going into our selected photographers?
Yeah. Well, just a comment that we make sure that we put that the name of the community on our summary, and we can maybe some people can go check it out. I know I'll certainly check it out. I'm big on communities. I mean, I just don't get to visit all of them as much as I would like.
Teri, tell us again, what's it called? What's your community called?
It's called Taking Stock Images.
Okay. And that actually is your website too, isn't it?
Yeah.
TakingStockImages.com. www.takingstockimages.com. Great.
Is that an invitational community or is it a public one?
No, it's a public one.
Okay.
Okay. And Teri, I just wondered also, you talked about Getty is kind of the top of the heap in terms of agencies, and you mentioned a couple others. I wonder if you could mention any other agencies and how you might rank them. You know, are there some that just sort of aren't really worth the time because they don't pay very well, or any comments on other agencies?
Well, my other two agencies are Shutterstock, which I am a huge fan of, and the minute I started uploading photos and was approved, I started making money. So they get a lot of traffic. They're very, very selective. You know, 1 out of 10 of my photos gets selected to be put up for sale. So their quality control is unbelievable. But the traffic is unbelievable. Like I said, 5, 6, 7, 10, 12 images a day sell from them, and I only have currently 300 photos on sale with them. 123RF, which is a fairly new newcomer to the game, but they're very large and growing fastly. I have about 2,700 images there, and their two sales are not as quick as Shutterstock, but I'm also to the point where it's 2, 10, 12 images a day selling, and everything from 50 cents on up. I just recently applied to Stock C, which is a new kind of model. It's going to be a photographer's co-op. So basically, they will anything that you get uploaded and sell, they will pay you 50% of the sale, which is typically not what happens in Stockland. Stock Fresh is another one that I just recently applied for. They're brand new to the scene, and I think that I like their model, that they're looking for uniqueness. So some of the older ones like iStock recently signed a contract with Google to basically sell our images for $12 flat, and they made the deal without asking any of the photographers or any input from the photographers, and I took my portfolio off of iStock. I don't agree with iStock, and it was impossible to grow my portfolio. I mean, I would upload 100, they'd approve 2. So impossible. Dreams Time is another one that's kind of along the lines of Shutterstock, very popular and high volume. I have 2 schools of thought. A lot of people get on as many agencies as they can, and I don't think that that's going to be the way I go. I'm going to spend my attention with the 3 that I have, maybe add Dreams Time to that, and if I get accepted to Stock Fresh, possibly. But I think that I'm making a good income between those 3, and I'd like to focus my attention on those 3, especially Shutterstock.
Great answer, thanks.
I have one question on those 3 companies.
Sure.
You see, because you take a picture of everything, right? You do animals and landscapes and stills, right? Still life?
Correct. But
go
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Do you see like say still life photos, do you see those being sold more on one site than the other? So like if you like industrial construction equipment, you would probably go to site A because you know more trade magazines, graphic designers frequent that one, versus your baked goods are bought more on this one because that's where Food Network goes, that's where Epicurious goes.
Well, and good question, because there are hundreds, if not thousands, of stock photography agencies out there, and there are some, that specialize in religious-related items or construction-related items, and the problem is that the big ones like Shutterstock and Getty, and Dreamtime and Fortolio and all of those, they see the traffic, where the other ones are more niched, and I don't think that they see the traffic that the big ones see. One of the things that I don't think people realize is I'm big on research. So, for example, Google has and I can't think of the name of it, but you can go and find out what the top terms or searches that are for any 24-hour period. For like example, wine is one of the top search terms on any given day in Google. And so with that information, I went and said, okay, here in Colorado we have vineyards and wineries, and I went and shot the wineries and the grapes and the wine and all that kind of stuff. Those are some of my best-selling items for that reason, because people are looking for that stuff related to wine. Same thing with cake pops. I don't know if you are familiar with what cake pops are. That's the hottest thing in baking right now. And
it's those little, they look like Tootsie Roll Pops. They're round circle things on a stick. And that is so funny.
I can't, they're selling like the images of wine. They sell constantly. Downtown pictures of Denver, the skyline of Denver, in all different lights and all different seasons and times of the year and times of the day, and those are other ones that are selling for me. And what I do is I shoot more of what sells.
Well, Teri, one of the, I think also in blogging, so this is connecting some other marketing dots for anybody who's out there, is those search terms. It's almost like what's trending on Twitter or what's trending on Google. You can actually do those, and those are the things you should be writing about and posting pictures about, because those are the things that people are looking for. So that's awesome. And it's so it's so funny that you mentioned the wine, because the son-in-law, the one that works at Comcast, we set up this whole, well, he's more of a photographer, but lights and wine glass and pouring the water in and swishing it all around, and I have some cool photos, so now I know what to do.
Exactly. And pizza, who knew? Pizza's another one. So look for
pizza.
Yeah, pizza's another top search term on Google. So pizza.
That's great. Okay, well we're coming to the end here, and anybody any other questions? Because I don't want. Oh wait. We have just evolved into an online question, and Kevin Rice has asked us, what about depositphotos.com? Any comments on that? So look, a live listener asking a question. I'm excited.
And I'm not familiar with Deposit. I do know that it's another top agency. You can go to, I think it's Almay, and you can get a ranking for, and Almay gives you the rankings for what are the most popular sites. And I believe Deposit Photos gets ranked by Almay because it's one of the most popular visited sites. So it does get traffic. So I'm not a contributor or photographer for them, so I don't know any more than about about inside sales or anything. So sorry I'm not more helpful there.
So Kevin, thank you for watching and thank you for posting your question. And so now we're coming to the end where we are going to share photographers on Google Plus, each one of us, that is somebody that you should watch. And I want to invite everyone back to our show on the 23rd. We do this every other Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, and we have a special, we haven't gotten the confirmation yet, so you'll have to come back here and see what we're going to have for the 23rd. It's going to be exciting. And I do know, though, for May 7th, we are going to have Mark Johnson from the Rocky Mountain School of Photography, and he is a delightful person who is going to talk with us about the evolution of your landscape photography photos, and actually getting to that more artistic, kind of coming from the Zen feeling of your shooting. And so it will be fun. We're just kind of mixing up all the different aspects of photography, and that will be exciting. So we'll look forward to seeing you then. And then now, Margaret, we'll start with you on the photographer to watch.
All right, let's see if I can
Margaret is working through screen share for those of you who are just starting to work on Hangouts on Air. There we go.
You see it? I'm recommending Steve Bachman. He's a real estate agent in Virginia, and he's a frequent contributor to the landscape photography theme, and he does brilliant work, very artistic, and yet besides his wonderful landscapes, he is a very diverse photographer. He will capture certain light and subjects that may be very mundane, but yet they have great emotion about them. So he is just a wonderful photographer to follow. So if you don't know Steve Bachman, definitely go check him out. You will not be disappointed. And he is great to interact with, so he's very personable, and he does just extraordinary work. So that's my recommendation for today.
So Margaret, thank you. And it is fun to learn who these people are. And last week we started a circle, and we will add to our circle our recommended photographers to follow. And so now we'll go to Jim. We're ready for yours, Jim.
So my recommendation this time is Ed Hoffman. And let's see, we'll do this share. Ed is a professional photographer based in Idaho. He's pretty eclectic. I mean, he shoots and he shares images, everything from sweeping landscapes to wildlife to macro work. Very nice, and he's been promoted recently in a number of shared circles, so other people are starting to follow him more. He doesn't have all that many followers, but I think that's changing. Also, in March, he was recognized in the landscape photography community's Best of the Best circle, which means he had some outstanding images posted to the community in March. So again, take a look at Ed Hoffman, and if you like what you see, definitely follow him and drop him a note.
Great. So, Ben, you're up.
All right, my photographer to watch is also an Idahonian. Jim and I must have had potatoes for dinner.
Idahonian. That's a new
potatoes
one.
in our minds. So Grant Meyer contributes weekly to our landscape photography theme, and He's not just in Idaho. I've seen pictures from Washington, so he hops the border. Idaho is maybe 5 hours east of me. So if you like wide open countrysides and night trails and forests of the Pacific Northwest, go ahead and add him to your circles.
Great, great. Now I'm going to put, oh, there, oh, that's beautiful.
That's a Teri image.
Oh, that's a Teri image. Okay.
That's one of mine.
Okay, well, this is my photographer to watch is Teri Virbickis here on Google Plus, and our guest this evening. And this is an amazing Denver shot, and I know right where you took that at Diamond Hill because I
No, that's not from Diamond Hill.
No.
No,
Where is that one from?
That's my secret location. I won't tell.
Oh, okay, all right. So,
you really are a stock photographer now.
Now, there's the. Was she talking about those people?
She was saying they don't want to share anything.
I know. Here she is.
Some things, no.
Well, anyway, this is her stock photo. No one else is going to get this shot. So,
maybe Teri will share that in the community on Google Plus. If we go visit the community, perhaps she'll share that with us.
Secret shot. See, Ben T has a on his blog, the wonderful places, and I think that anyone listening, if you're specializing in an area, I think that is an amazing thing to do is share certain things like that. But Teri, we appreciate you coming. And we're looking forward to joining your community and learning more. And now I'm going to flip to you, and you can share with us who you think we should be watching.
So my photographer, he's actually one of my students or one of the community members, Jerry Nedick, and he's retired, and him and his wife lived out of a RV for a while, traveling around, and he was taking pictures, and I don't even know how he stumbled across the community, but he came on one of our outings, and I literally could see the light bulb go off on top of his head about now he knows what to do with all of his photos, and he's out there moving and shaking and taking pictures and learning and just absorbing like a sponge the world of stock photography. So he great person, great personality. He is just awesome, and he is quickly learning and becoming an up and coming stock photographer.
Awesome.
Well, that's great, and we will have posted with this link, the replay of this show, all of the things that we've talked about, the websites and the photographers to watch, along with posting a circle from our past shows. And I'm excited this evening because we're going to meet Grant Menity. I don't know if you've seen him post anything, but he's from the Minneapolis area, and really this is someone driving from Vegas to the Grand Canyon tomorrow, and the door is open to come to the Grand Canyon, and Margaret, you're gonna get that done, right?
Yeah, it's looking like maybe May.
Well, good. Well, so I said, well, I have to do this show, so you can come over at 8:15. So we're going to have cookies and coffee at 8:15. So the door's open, and we want to thank everyone for joining us on the Landscape Photography Show. If you have an idea that you would like us to get a guest or discuss, please put it in the comments, and we appreciate you watching and are wishing you good luck. And thank you to Teri Virbickis for being with us and hearing and sharing about stock photography. Thank you, and have a great week.
Good night, everybody.
Night.